How are you doing? It's Grant with the Garden of Eder, and in this video we'll do a quick tour of the hallway. Of course, we got the 48-gallon rimless tank at the front door with the crawfish in it, but then when you go down the hallway we've got the 40-gallon rack stand, and then a 20-gallon long with 3 10s on top, and then we've got the cube and 20-gallon longs down the hallway. We'll start off with our top 40-gallon breeder tank. We've got the Tangerine tigers in here. We've got a nice large size ball of subwasser tang, some java fern, as well as some blixia. These guys are super hardy, don't require any culling nearly. Maybe like 1 in 1,000 might be a little yellow, but for the most part these guys are nice deep orange. Super hardy, low or high pH. As long as you keep up with your water changes, these guys are easy. And then we'll go down. We've got Sulawesi tank. This is the main tank that we sell out of first. I try to keep the other ones populated in the other tank. It's kind of like my own personal tank with Shelby that we like to keep all the shrimp for ourselves in. So this is the main tank we sell out of, but there is a nice size colony in here, but they're less social. They'll hide a lot in the cracks, and there's a ton of spots for them to hide out in. These guys are used to higher temps in the 80s, low 80s. However, the heater in this tank failed, and I didn't quite catch it, and the colony didn't mind it whatsoever and kept breeding. If I looked hard enough, I could find some juveniles and babies in the cracks, but we'll be here all day trying to find all of them. And we've got our orange rabbit snails in here as well. And down below, we've got Tang tie. This is just a main tank of our Tang tie that we throw in a bunch of different cull males from nicer colonies that we kind of like to keep the genetics from, and throw them in with a bunch of Tangerine tiger females, and we'll keep the Tang tie females as well. But we try to throw these guys to give you guys a mix of different type of genetics when you buy the cheaper Tang tie from us and whatnot. And then to the 10 gallons, we've got just a mixed tank of Tybes. These are from Andrew Wayne. I really respect him as a breeder. Everybody needs someone to look up to, and he's kind of who I go to if I ever need some advice or some suggestions here in the United States. And we've got the old Tangerine Tiger tank. These tanks are really old. I've had these guys for well over 3 years going in this tank now. The substrate was exhausted. As soon as this female is released her babies, I'll pull her for a different project I'm working on, and all these guys will go up to the other tank, and I will turn this into a fresh substrate and put a different type of Caridina in there. And then this is the project tank I'm speaking of. We've got orange-eyed blue tigers, and then I always tell people, you know, don't freak out if you see a female disappear or something like that. She's usually hiding, and you know, they really have these really nice places of hiding, and she's right up there. So we've got some Tangerine tiger berries crossed with the orange-eyed blue tigers. So just a project tank. I'd like to make some orange-eyed Tangerine tigers, and maybe make my own orange-eyed yellow king kongs from scratch. So this is the goal from these guys, just a little project tank. Lots of moss. And also with this tank, this is from Elevate Shrimp and Chaz. We've got his all-in-one filtration sump set up. You just silicone it to the back of your 10-gallon tank, and it's got all the filter media and a little pad to catch any debris, as well as the pump. Everything else in the house runs off of 6 Elitas, all on closed-loop air systems, except for this one tank that I put the life of my project in Chaz's hands. Shout out to Chaz. He's a great guy, great product. And down below, this is my oldest Caridina tank. it is exhausted. The substrate no longer buffers. However, I just didn't have it in me to tear it down or break it down. So I am going to leave my Tangerine Tigers in here. I have a lot of requests of people that ask for Tangerine Tigers and Neocaridina parameters. So this is the only tank that I have in the house with Caridina and Neocaridina parameters. These guys get the RO water with the Brightwell GH/KH mix, and they still breed pretty decent. However, just they don't grow quite as fast as they do in the lower pH. And then we've got the red moss in this tank. It's not really a red moss, it's more of a algae like the Subwasser Tang, but it's just a hobby name. It does really good in this tank. Just low light, no CO2, no fertilizer. Sorry, just turning off the lights so there's not a lot of glare. And then we've got our Galaxy Pintos, fish bones, different tie bees that need to be culled out of here, but this started as a Galaxy Pinto tank and I just kind of let it go. I need to cull and remove some of the red steels and other phenotypes out of here. But this is just a really nice tank. These guys just produce like crazy, and there is a lot of nice patterns that come out of here, even though there is a couple culls every once in a while. These back lines are really nice, and even some of these Galaxy Pinto spots and stripes really come out on some of them. Especially the blacks. Blacks are always nice when you don't want them to be. And we've got the hallway. We've got our Green Tiger project tank here going. I've got a lot of Green Tiger projects. One day they'll be green, next day they'll be yellow, next day they'll be orange. They're the only things that are more of a mood swing than the blue bolts. But it's just a really fun project. These guys breed like crazy. They're super hardy, just like the Tangerine Tigers, but it's just a project that I must work on until I nail it and get a lot more of the green to pop out and more stable. But I'm patient. And then we've got a cool project tank going on here. This is orange-eyed yellow King Kongs crossed with the the red ghost hollow eye. And give me a second, I'm gonna put this on the tripod. Alright, so in this tank we've got the orange-eyed yellow King Kongs crossed with the hollow eye red ghost. And now it seems anything that I cross orange-eyed with the hollow eye, I get all normal eye. I'm not sure if this works with all orange-eyed and hollow eye, but I'm fairly sure if you cross two different recessive eye genes that you're just going to revert to the normal genetics. However, just in the last project where I crossed the Black Tiger orange eye with the hollow eye and F2, I did get some orange eyes. It's kind of hard to tell when they're so young if I got any hollow eye or not. We'll wait to find out if that recessive gene will pop up as well. But this is just another cool little project that I've got going on with the different color eyes and stuff like that. It seems like the new and cool strains that keep coming out, more of them tend to be the orange-eyed, so I figured I'd be on the front line when trying to develop my own. And the next tank over, there's not many shrimp in here. I started with just 10 of these Bluebees. I had one batch of babies, but only 6 babies survived. I only had 6 eggs in the first batch. A lot of females tend to only carry a few eggs their first time, and it's just a first time mom. So less than like 16 shrimp in this tank probably, and it's a 20-gallon long, and I should have put more shrimp in the tank. My general rule is 1 to 2 shrimp per tank, but it was the only shrimp open at the time when the auction came up, and I just couldn't let these guys slip out of my hands, so I grabbed them. And then the next tank, we've got our spotted head pintos. These guys are really awesome. The blue shadow pigment will show up on the white. It tends to happen more when they age and grow up, and they kind of are a little finicky, where one day they'll be blue, the next day they can be white, but for the most part, the older ones, once they're blue, they tend to stay blue. I also got the Pogos, Helferi, the Downy in this tank, as well as the Repens. And in the next tank, we have our Golden Bees. However, I've been breeding these guys for the darker red pigment on the heads. I'm not so convinced that they're Golden Bees. The way I can tell, and a quick genetics tip and trick, is with Golden Bees, if you were to cross a Golden Bee with a Taiwan bee, you're going to get all crystal shrimp as the offspring. So you'll get crystal reds, crystal blacks, Golden Bees, snow whites, that kind of mix. If you cross a red steel and a red wine, you can get all different types of Tai bee. Pintos, more red steels, broken pattern red wines, etc. If you cross it, a red wine with a red bolt, you'll get nothing but perfect pattern Taiwan bees. Maybe not all perfect pattern, but they should be true. You should tell that there isn't any pinto striping or anything like that trying to show through, so you'll just get, for the most part, red King Kongs and red bolts. And then this is another project I've got going on. This is cheetahs crossed with the shrimp in the last tank. So I can't really use that trick to figure out what they are. But for F1, all of the shrimp looked exactly the same. They all looked like these fish bones, kind of bluish, greenish pigment. But F2, I have never seen this much diversity, from steels to clear shrimp to the normal Thai bees, the brown and stripes and whatnot, tons of reds, and then I even got some solid blacks or solid blues. It's kind of hard to tell. They're still too young. I don't see any of them out and about right now. But there's just a lot going on in this tank, and they just seem to, as soon as they got buried, they have not stopped. They're just non-stop producing babies. In the next tank, we've got our confetti steel project. This is kind of a backup tank. This is where I'm trying to get the red and blue pigment on the exact same shrimp. If you can see the blue steel there, that's more the pigment that I want to get on these shrimps. However, I want red and blue, not just the solid blue like the little guy in the front. But it's really hard to tell on camera, but when you look with the naked eye, you can kind of tell how this one, there's just not just red or orange pigments. You can kind of see the blue, white come out as well. It's just so hard to get some of these shrimp on camera. The lighting just doesn't reflect the way you want it to. But these guys are really easy, hardy. They breed just like steels, and these guys are always buried as well. And then we've got our backup Yellow King Kong Rilly tank. Now, with the Rillies, as they age, some of them will gain full color and they'll lose the translucent pigment in the belly. But the ones that stay the clearest, the longest, those get to stay in the main tank. If they turn yellow and they're females, I'll generally move them into this tank. But you see there's a Missouri right there. There's a nice Rilly down in front. Some culling and work to be done here, but these are just such a fun shrimp to work with, especially since they're just Yellow King Kongs, and just like Tangerine Tigers, they're the most hardy shrimp. They can take low and high pH, and they just breed like rabbits. There's no stopping them. So that's it for the hallway. I've had a couple people ask me what shrimp foods I use. I use the Pure Nordic shrimp food line. Today I use the mineral food. I kind of switch it up every time I feed. I feed every other day. Today I feed mineral. Tomorrow I won't feed anything. The day after that, I'll feed the day by day. The day after that, I'll feed one of the probiotics or one of the other foods. I don't use the powders or anything like that. I only use the pellet foods. But I mean, since I've been doing this food routine and everything like that, I just had so much higher success with baby survival rate and growth rate and everything like that. So I really recommend this food. If you'd like to get it, Lucky Aquatics has it. I'll put a link down in the description with a referral code that you can get 5% off your first purchase of the shrimp food. So if you guys want to get any of that, you're more than welcome to try it, but I think it's a great food for my shrimp. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for future content.